Hey, good evening, everybody. We have another book for tonight, and I sent the boys to bed. They were melting, as you may have seen in the other video. But our book tonight, some of us read it in class today. Some of us are going to read it later in the week in class, but might as well do it for a bedtime story. Jake Makes a World, Jacob Lawrence and a young artist in Harlem, written by Sharifa Rhodes-Pitts, illustrated by Christopher Myers. If you've been watching our bedtime stories, Christopher Myers also illustrated Wings. That one he did more of a collage style, and here is painted style. It's beautiful, and it's about Jacob Lawrence in the 1930s, and this would be post Harlem Renaissance by 10 years. Okay. In the morning, Jake watches the sun wake up. He makes a big stretch, and the sun stretches too. With first light, the dancing dark shadows begin to fade. Then the colors come again, yellow, orange, and blue, on the quilt that covers Jake and his brother in bed, mother's paper flowers in pink and red. His feet sink deep into the thick blue rug. When his toes touch the ground, it's like a sky upside down. When Jake moved to this new city, this New York, to this neighborhood called Harlem, to live with mother again, these familiar things from his old home in Philadelphia greeted him like long-lost friends. What I love about this illustrator is he always uses a lot of color and movement and rhythm, and they're always so alive. What I really like is how he interprets Jacob Lawrence's style into his own style of illustrating the story. Outside Jake's building, men play chess and checkers, balancing the boards on their knees. Older boys sell fruit from a wagon or ice from a bucket, shouting for people to come down and get it. Mothers walk fast to work and more work. Signs promise home-cooked meals for 15 cents and a shoe shine to make you brand new. A preacher in a hat shouts and sings about God. A newsboy tells the stories of the day from downtown and around the world, but tells them with a tune. At the corner, a short man stands on a stepladder, telling everyone how he will get the freedom we need. 1930s, 30 years before the Civil Rights Movement. Most days after school, Jake goes to a place called Utopia Children's House. The word utopia means that it is a special place unlike any other. For Jake, it is. At Utopia House, Jake makes things with his hands. He carves a block of soap into a fish. He sews scraps of leather into a secret pouch. With watercolors, he swirls the shadows that dance on his wall at dawn and the patterns of the rugs in his living room. Love this. This is an iconic Jacob Lawrence image. Those masks. Hopefully you saw the other story. Jake takes a stick of charcoal and draws a pair of eyes to see everything the people on the street see. He draws one pair of ears to hear all the shouts and songs, one mouth to carry all their voices. All the faces Jake sees on the street become one face. Jake shows his new face to his teacher, who smiles and nods and says, "You should see this, a very old mask from Africa." Jake stares at the mask for a long while, and then he makes his own mask from brown paper bags and glue and paint. When he is done, the mask smiles at him. Next, Jake takes a shoebox, and in the box he tries to fit the whole street. Inside are cardboard chessmen, tiny boys folded from construction paper, and mothers walking fast to work, wearing dresses cut from magazines. He stacks matchboxes to make buildings and paves the street with sandpaper. Make a note of that image right there. Important. This is Wall's favorite. Jake has made a world, a small piece of this place called Harlem. It is now his home. Jake's Harlem has all the shouts and songs and noises of the Harlem outside. But here they are not sounds. They are colors. They are shadows dancing. They are rhythms. They are light. Some of his most notable work. In 1930, when Jacob Lawrence, known to his friends and family as Jake, was 13 years old, he moved to the neighborhood of Harlem in New York City. His mother had moved there 3 years before, and like many children of that era, Jake and his sister had stayed behind in Philadelphia while she looked for work. It was a time of great political and artistic activity in Harlem. The The cultural achievements of the Harlem Renaissance had made the neighborhood a gathering place for Black artists, and even during the Great Depression, that would be around the 1930s, there were opportunities for a creative young person to thrive. Jake began taking art lessons, and his talent was immediately evident. His teacher, the artist Charles Henry Alston, said of him that this was a kid to leave alone. Don't let him start painting like you. Don't start cramming him with classical ideas about art or showing him the great. Let him go. Just give him materials. Jake was a young man when he began to imagine a series of paintings about the great migration of Black Americans who had left the rural South and come to New York and other northern cities. Although the movement was still a recent memory, he understood its importance to American history. By the time he finished the 60 small paintings that comprised the Migration series, Jacob Lawrence had made a world bridging the memories and everyday stories of daily life with a unique vision, colors, shape, rhythm, gesture that marked the rest of his long career. Okay. The 60 panels in the Migration series are painted in caisson tempera on hardboard. Each measures approximately 18 by 12 inches. The even-numbered panels are in the collection of the Museum of Modern Art, so you have to go to New York to see it, unless it's on loan to another museum on the West Coast, which happens. Museum of Modern Art is also known as the MoMA. Isn't that a fun word? MoMA. New York, gift of Mrs. David M. Levy. The odd-numbered works are in the collection of the Phillips Collection, Washington, D.C., acquired in 1942. And here are some of his paintings. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm really excited to create art with you all, and with those of you that are studying Jacob Lawrence right now, we're going to have a blast working on rhythm and creating beautiful art. Take care. Sleep well. Good night.